Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Nerds Hour.
So you're just doing the intro? You didn't decide? Run it again! No, just...
You
Hi,
can
guys.
continue the intro.
Well, I'm gonna do that to you one of these days. You won't know when, you won't know where, you won't know how. But I'm going to say to you, you do the intro. And then once you finish the countdown, I'm just gonna be like, guys!
I'm not going to be on double guard.
No. And it's a face only you and I will see. Because...
You never know. That may change.
Oh, yeah, we could possibly get cameras soon. We tried that once with Misery, and ironically enough...
Yeah, although...
it was a misery to edit.
Well, I don't know. Nerds Hour, they might have already seen our face if they went over and checked out the Nerds Hour channel.
It has been months. It has been months. Am I as fugly as you imagined? I hope not. Yeah.
I'm black, so... Now it's like every time you got to think of that, a white voice coming out of a black face.
I mean, Braden did confirm that people will have seen that episode already. It's already out, and we're recording right now, so I guess we know that.
Yes.
But welcome to the show, guys. We're continuing Fantasy Month for February. This is one of the last of 2 episodes for this month.
Yes, this will be number 3, The Warrior and The Sorceress.
If you haven't heard of it, we're not surprised. We hadn't heard of it either.
1984 R-rated sci-fi thing with a poster of a woman with 4 tits.
And there's a reason for that. We'll get to it.
Which,
Bleh.
yeah.
Well, and it's like I said, this is one of those movies where I only recognize one guy, which is generous, because in the last 2 movies we reviewed, I have recognized no one.
Which you'll recognize him as Kill Bill, David Carradine.
Yeah, Bill in Kill Bill, David Carradine. He's what is he? The Dark One.
Kane in this.
Kane. He gets called the Dark One the most in this movie by like the villains.
Yeah, which in another one he was called the Dark One that he was in. I thought.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I don't know. But hey, another fantasy movie. If you guys want to check it out yourself, where can they see it?
Well, as of the time of this recording, and probably will be because why not?
Sure.
If you know anything about that.
Sure.
Tubi and Amazon, which, I don't think it really goes away. I think they go away for a couple of months just for licensing reasons.
Yeah, but then they get
come
back, and it's like...
Because that's a majority of it. It's just kind of some fun back burner movies when you get bored to watch, and they're actually quite fun.
And Tubi, you might as well just make an account for. I know we've bled hard loyals to Tubi. You guys know that already, but it's true.
Just make the damn account already. It's free.
It's free.
Barely any ads.
You get to see all these classic movies.
Classic, fun, indie from the 80s and modern indie. And some of them are actually pretty good on there.
Sure.
Freaks of Nature is actually pretty good, too.
Yeah, freaking love Freaks of Nature.
Better watch out, just to name a couple. So definitely, go just make the free count, man.
Just watch it.
Literally
and
costs
you
no money.
Us.
No, it's not sponsored. Just go do it because it's an amazing service.
Yeah. Are you nervous for when we do get sponsors? Like, do you feel like things are going to change?
No, but I definitely want Tubi to be our sponsors. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Tubi, you want to freaking give us some money? I'm waiting for their response. All right, that's not how this works. Go on.
I say Tubi just because Tubi's awesome. I can't praise that enough because, next to Amazon Prime, it is literally one of the best free streaming services. So
exactly, because think about it. It's like if you rented a movie off of another platform, but a lot of platforms you rent movies on, they still make you watch ads. But you didn't pay any money.
Yeah, and the ads are literally 25 seconds. And it doesn't feel like it because they don't, show you that pesky time limit. Mm-hmm. They show you how long the ad is. They don't, because, that's one of the grueling things about other streaming services is there's always, 7 more ads, really, and they're usually just repetitive. These are just kind of, some are movies, some are basic commercials, but they're short.
And it might sound weird. You can judge me. Also, you can, audience, if you'd like. I don't mind ads as much. I actually there are some cases where I kind of prefer them. Because once the ad starts and it's like, playing 1 of 4 ads, 120 seconds left. Great, I can pee in that time. You know what I mean?
For me, I would rather just pause it. There are some movies where I'm just like, oh, thank God. Which you guys will get to hear in the next one.
Oh, God. That movie killed us. But we're not talking about that this week. We're talking about
you get to wait.
The Warrior and The Sorceress.
So yeah, off to what you would call a strong start just because David Carradine.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the classic nomadic warrior look. He's wearing is it a poncho or a serape?
I think it's a poncho.
Well, because a poncho is opened at the sides, yeah?
Yeah, I think it was a poncho.
Yeah, it didn't... I don't know. Yeah, no, it might have been a serape, because it had a hood and it went down below his shoulders, and he kind of had to, like, fling it and move around to get it to his sword, because he has a sword in his back. I like how this is what we're arguing about.
Yeah, I mean, it is also noted, too, that this giant-ass sword that you can clearly tell is fake, but it looks so well done. I mean, for 80s standards, that was...
For 80s low-budget fantasy, yeah, looks great.
Yeah.
But he's like wandering through the desert, and he comes upon this, like, town, settlement, camp. I don't even know what to call this crap.
It's always hard to say in the 80s fantasy movies. They're not really established.
No.
At all whatsoever.
No, but he comes in, and he, like, the first thing he sees is the titular sorceress, but as he sees, it's just a woman standing on a precipice wearing almost nothing.
Pretty much. Which, I mean, has been the common theme for these past two movies.
Yeah,
like, that's the 80s. There's nothing but boobs, and when there's not boobs, it's
the past
repetitive.
Two movies, the past month, been nothing but the boobs.
And when there's not boobs, it's repetitive. And that's not saying it from a sexist standpoint, like, oh, there needs to be boobs. It's just like they didn't know how to write a story, and they were going to have a bunch of naked women, and then that didn't play out. So they were like, well, what do we do for the filler time? So, it's odd.
I'm just more of this sounds like the weirdest thing I've ever said in my life, but no, it shouldn't. Why did I say it like that? It doesn't. It sounds decent for me. I don't like it being there for the sake of it. If I see boobs, I want there to be a reason.
Yeah, and not, like, just a fat reason. It's like, have a reason just besides having naked women. And there's really not a good reason.
I think the reason I said it sounds weird of me to say is the toxic masculinity creeping in. Because I know that's not the opinion of all men. Yeah. Boobs.
I mean, for me, it's just not entertaining after a while. I mean, you know, when you watch a fantasy movie like this, and this is what makes, like, those 80s movies good, is you can't deny that the choreography for these are incredible. They're very well done.
Yeah.
They're very well... Their set design is usually pretty well done, even despite the overall movie. They do put a lot into their set design. That is the one good thing that you can pull out of all 80s movies, especially these fantasy ones, is no matter which type of movie you watch, you can always pull out that the set design and the costume designs are usually pretty spot on.
Yeah.
And if not time period wise, definitely in their own unique respective ways.
Did I mention that we're going to be spoiling this movie? I thought I did.
Yeah. I mean, if you are listening to a review, usually, unless it's a
or if you're
spoiler-free.
listening to us at this point, because how many episodes have we had at this point? Over 30?
I think.
Cool. Yeah, if you're listening to us, like, you get by now, unless this is your first time popping in, hi. Yeah, we usually just go through movies beat by beat, you know, so watch it if you want to, and if not, just, you know, hang out. Because, again, it's not a great movie.
It's not, but it's also one of those things that if you get bored, it's not going to kill you to watch it either.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, to be perfectly honest with you, because there's just a lot of stuff happening where I'm like, oh, that's, okay. Because, like, he gets there, and there's dudes, like, hanging around a well, and this woman comes up to them and begs for water, and they kill her, and I'm like, okay, this is, okay.
I almost admired it in the sense, as bad as that sounds, because it was accurate.
I mean, it's giving us a world building of, like, this is a horrible, shitty world.
Well, it really puts the stance of who these people are.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always kind of like, you know, I always like having seen some of that stuff, because it gives you ahead of time who you want to root for and who are just terrible people in general. Exactly. I feel like that needs to kind of be established. I just feel like they can do it in different ways. It doesn't always need to be savage nature.
I will say, there is because we get 3, like, big bads in this movie somehow. One of them is definitely a twirly mustache villain.
Yeah. Which a couple of these older ones, they really are just kind of like,
Because
whoa.
this old man sees him and invites him in, and he knows because he like recognizes the seal on his sword that he's a knight of this like holy order or something like that. And then he explains to him like what the deal is with the town, and apparently there's these two warlords, and they both live in this town, and they each are they like take turns taking claim of this well. So, because like that's the lifeblood of this, this town is the well, because it's a desert town, and the peasants are kind of stuck in the middle, so it's just a very bad situation for everyone. But he like, what are the names of the two people? The two captain dudes, like warlord guys.
Let me look. It's always hard when you get these because you're sitting.
Well, fantasy movies, like they're always names you've never heard spoken in real life. Like it's never like the two warlords, Jeremy and Kevin. Like
it wouldn't be as effective. No, but at least when it comes to somebody like George R.R. Martin and Tolkien, you can at least learn them pretty quick.
Well, I mean, there's there's Jaime Lannister and Jon Snow, like
and even
then there's
Ned
like,
Stark.
Yeah, Ned.
Rob Stark.
Rob Stark. God, this is gonna kill me. The only weird ones are like Tyrion and Sansa and like Arya. Oberyn, yeah.
Arya's not as weird.
It's not as normal.
I mean, it's out there. I feel like that'd be more of a cultural thing, though.
Yeah. Catelyn. That's
looks like Zeg the Tyrant.
Yeah. Is he the fat guy or?
I don't know.
And
he looks skinny here, so I mean.
And then what's the other one?
I think the other one would be Bulge the Prelate. Maybe.
Oh yeah, Zeg is the thin one, and then there's. Huh? Is he even credited?
Unless it's just Balkaz.
It is Balkaz, yeah.
He's only been in one movie.
So Balkaz, he's the twirly mustache guy I was talking about. Because what happens? He literally makes that noise. But Zeg's troops are guarding the well right now. So he, Kane, the dark one, he goes up to Balkaz's troops and tells them, like, tell him to watch this. And he literally goes over and kills, like, all of Zeg's troops, like, not even breaking a sweat. And these are guys who have full, like, suits of armor, and he's just got his sword.
It's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah.
Usually when you're on that high status, you'd hope that your soldiers would not just be killed with ease like they're Vader versus a bunch of rebels or stormtroopers.
Exactly. But then, Balkaz's men, like, surround the well, and then they start, like, hauling buckets upon buckets upon buckets between the well. And there's women who come out with their nipples showing, and they're dancing around, like, the well, and I'm like, okay, but they're, like, passing buckets, filling their own water supply, and then he gets invited in, and then Zeg's men, like, scare them off again and take back the well, because Zeg is more, like, his men are better equipped, because, like, they have metal armor, and Balkaz has, like, leather armor stuff,
Yeah.
But he gets invited in, and he meets Balkaz, who's like, he's a fat guy, it looks like in this scene he's just wearing a diaper. And they're like, okay, like...
Imagine a sumo wrestler, but if they wore an actual diaper.
And there's a bunch of topless women everywhere, and one one of them is feeding her food and looking at him longingly, and I'm like, this is not okay.
Emphasize how much boobs are in this movie.
Yeah.
The actual site for this movie that distributed it has a picture twice of one of the main women with her boobs out.
Yeah.
On their site. Their official distribution site.
Yeah.
That's not exactly how I think you want to promote your movie, especially if younger younger viewers are hopping on there.
Yeah, no, please. Please, no.
But I mean, then again, why would you be watching this movie if you're a younger viewer?
Way to really just diss you and me.
No,
but Balkaz is like trying to make him offers to like hire him, and they settle on every 8 days he'll get 100, whatever their currency is. Which I'm not gonna have you try and find what it is, but it's like, let's just say $100. It's easier that, or gold. Let's just say gold.
yeah, weigh him out.
Or no, actually, gold is another currency. And damn it, $100, whatever.
100 schmeckles.
I think it actually might be schmeckles. Like, it's very close to that. But the reason he works it out is Balkaz talks to this like lizard, which in this scene looks like just a lizard that sits on his shoulder, but we see later it's like a man in a lizard suit, like full grown walking, whatever. So, and what he told him, which he says after they agree on the money thing, is like, I see, so we'll have him kill Zeg, and then we'll kill him and take the money back. But he's kind of walking around, and then they issue like a challenge to Zeg. They're gonna have like a throwdown.
It really seems like kind of a bounty hunter type scenario.
Yeah. Well, because they meet in the square, and we find out that Zeg, he has the woman who's the sorceress, the main character, the female lead. She's supposed to craft for him this magical sword. What is it with magical swords in these movies? But it's supposed to be like this unbreakable, can break any other sword thing. But she like refuses to make it for him, so he like hits her, and it's like, okay, we get it. He's a bad guy. We're supposed to hate him. Like, I got it.
Yeah. I feel like, you don't have to push the bar that far to make it effective.
Like, it's not like there was anyone who thought for a second that this dude was a decent guy, so let's have him hit a woman. Like,
there's a certain, I'd say, like, even if Game of Thrones, without spoiling anything, that there are some characters where it's like, okay, it's necessary because you really need to hate them for the payoff.
Oh yeah.
But there are some where it's just like, okay, really, did you really need to make that happen?
Yeah.
That was just vile, and I think.
Well, and she's also walking in there wearing like what looks to be a bathrobe, and then she's just wearing underwear and she's topless, and it's like, all right, we get it. There's boobs in this movie. What?
You're sexy.
Saddle. What?
Yeah, and I mean, if you know anything about the industry, you know it's exploitive, especially back then.
Oh, the 80s. Wow.
80s and 70s, I'd say. I think 70s just. Public nudity was not as accepted because they were just coming off the 60s bandwagon.
Well, the 70s was around the time that the pornography industry was even like became a thing.
Yeah.
And porno theaters became a thing too.
I feel like that's why, and I mean that might be a thing because it was a barbaric time, so assuming that with a lot of these movies, that's kind of what they assumed what it was like.
Yeah.
I feel like the porn industry played a lot of roles into these types of 80s movies.
Oh yeah,
because there was boobs everywhere.
They understood the base instinct of the average man, quote unquote.
But then again, you gotta look at something like Barbarella, because that came out in 1968.
Yeah.
Which Barbarella is basically a mix of all these 80s movies, just from its poster.
And with like an actual like notable actress.
Yeah.
Like someone who's stayed relevant somehow.
It is like sci-fi. Literally, this is sci-fi and fantasy making out with each other.
Yeah.
And
viciously.
About to screw each other to death.
Yeah. Like there's not much foreplay. It's just raw.
From the moment you start that movie to the end, there's nothing but just boobs, fantasy, sci-fi, boobs, sci-fi, and you're just sitting there like,
what am I watching?
Never read the graphic thing. We're definitely going to do an episode, but that is kind of like how I feel like this movie kind of went.
Mm-hmm.
Less like Deathstalker, though, or...
well, Deathstalker was just... That was more... explicit, I felt like.
Yeah, this one was actually, believe it or not, one of the, sorry to split off, but this was actually one of the better lower type explicit movies out of the two that we've done so far.
It was better than Deathstalker, I would say.
And better than Sorceress.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's not it's not to my knowledge, we have only reviewed one movie that I had a worse time in with Sorceress. Maybe two.
Sorceress, though, with the nudity was
a
lot, though, is what I'm saying. And that first opening scene.
It also is just like, what's happening? Like,
well, that first village raid scene, we didn't need that either,
no.
which we did talk about. So that's why I'm saying this was a very
that is one positive about this movie. At least there's no rape scenes.
No.
But anyways, they're getting ready for their fight, and Balkaz tells Kane to attack Zeg. And as he's walking towards Zeg, he looks back and he goes, I don't work for people who plot to kill me. And then he just walks away. And then they all start charging each other, but they keep backing away at the same time. And it's like, you chickens, like, what is, like...
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I felt like, Kane, is that what
Yeah.
I
felt he is a smart character, because we see later on he's playing all the angles.
He is. I mean, there's a specific game, so to speak, which I'll give a quick spoiler warning for. If you've ever played Red Dead, there is a chapter in there where you are playing both sides, where you meet this family and you really are just playing both sides to the best of your abilities. And I felt like this is kind of what, I felt like this is done really well, but with one person.
Yeah.
And more effective. But that's what really gave me the bounty hunter type element. Like, he's just an outsider, walks in, plays these two sides.
Because he's out for himself.
Yeah, less the Romeo and Juliet type-esque playing two families and more about just two opposing sides.
Right. Exactly.
But I felt it was executed well.
Yeah. Yeah. But they end up not fighting and putting a temporary truce because this guy comes in who's like a slaver. What's his name? Like Kreef or Kref or something? Croffle? I don't know. What the heck his name is?
Keith?
Keith, thank you. I knew it was somewhere around there. But he comes in and he starts like selling them like workers and soldiers, and they give them back like water and armaments and stuff like that. But later on in the desert, Kane sees that like the soldiers died, and because they drank from these gourds that had Zeg's like crest on them. So Keith's like, he poisoned us and betrayed us. I will kill him. But it was actually Balkaz who did it because he wanted to set him up. So then, after he sees this, Kane goes to Zeg's hideout, sneaks in, and sells him the information. Which, again, like, he's just he's just out for himself, Yeah. Yeah. But while he's there, he, like, sneaks out again and sneaks into the sorceress's chambers, because I guess he was a part of an order that like would take orders from her specifically, like her personal like holy knights, so they know each other.
Yeah. So I'm just like thinking too.
Should I keep going or?
No, keep going. Yeah. I'm just kind of formulating thoughts.
Okay. So he ends up, after they talk, like helping her break out, and he hides her with the old man who was helping him before,
which I'll say I kind of liked, kind of didn't.
Yeah,
because I mean this movie did come out, I think, did it come out before or after Deathstalker? That's a real question. I felt like with these movies, just because of the way it was executed for a lot of these, it was just felt so overplayed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I felt like, when it came to this one, it kind of, for me, it just didn't sit well. Maybe that's because we watched the other movies or not, but I felt like the damsel in distress play in this one kind of...
She doesn't really do anything or say anything.
It was really drawn out to a very wooden female character.
Almost insulting.
Yeah, it was like there was no... Like, in Deathstalker, at least there was kind of a purpose. She had a bit of purpose in there. I mean, more than just being the damsel in distress. It wasn't about just rescuing Princess Peach and moving on to the next castle after she gets kidnapped.
Yeah, the reason he needed to rescue her was because he was the daughter of,
Yeah, there was a reason.
Like, it was given more than 5 seconds of dialogue for explanation. It didn't feel like something that was written together in an afternoon.
No. And I feel like that truly is the biggest hindrance in this movie.
Yeah.
Because I felt like there could have been a lot that could have went into her character to make her more enjoyable.
Yeah. Because we do get to see her make the sword at the end, but it's like, that's all she does. Like, she doesn't fight back in any way.
At least use it.
Yeah, exactly.
At least be like a lightsaber, like a...
Oh, yeah, like
at least swing it once.
Be like in, like in Dragon Slayer. It's just like, shing!
Yeah, like, at least do something badass to give some sort of credibility. Because, I mean, overall, she was... Opposed from the fact that she's the center for Kane, she's very... Naja is very forgettable.
Yeah, I didn't even know her name. And she, like... For being a character who's apparently so important that her name's in the title, there's not much of her. Yeah,
and not to mention that is the one that we have to save.
Yeah, and even though this is like a relatively short movie, it's less than an hour and a half long, but like still.
And I mean, that was my biggest hindrance. It just felt like the only characters that were developed. Like, the story was there. The story was interesting.
Yeah, I bought it.
It has a premise. I mean, just going halfway through this movie, the reason I'm picking now halfway through the movie to talk a little bit more and expand upon it is just because it was interesting, and I feel like, if they were to remake it today, I feel like they could do it with the story they had. A little... Yeah.
There'd be less boobs for sure.
Less boobs. More about... I mean, you could put some boobs in it.
Yeah, but
not... it'd be a room. It'd be like a throne room with people, maybe like, kind of like a whorehouse.
Yeah. A brothel.
Brothel
sounds more...
No, I was trying to find the word too when you said it, and I was like, what did they call them more in medieval times?
Yeah, a brothel.
Brothels were, even in Game of Thrones, like, as much as porn star quality as there is, considering they are porn stars, which is funny, ironically enough. There was a sense of decency and a sense of there was a limit.
Exactly.
There's a limit, and specific scenes made certain sense being in a brothel. So I mean, when I think with these movies, when you walk in and you see him in a throne room, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if they were to remake it today, I think they could really work something with it. If you rework the script a bit,
yeah,
definitely redid Naja's character, and got a good thing. I mean, one of the best things about this movie though was David. He just has like that bounty hunter. If you think about it, if you've seen The Mandalorian, spoiler for season 2, which hopefully you've seen by now.
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
Yeah.
When you see him without his helmet and just the Tusken Raider pipe, that's kind of what he gave me, like the vibe of that. A mix of him and Jarrett.
Yeah.
From The Witcher, with the big sword. That was cool.
Jarrett. You mean Geralt?
Or Geralt, yeah.
Geralt of Rivia, yeah.
That's what really gave me this vibe. So, sorry, I just want to know feeling that because I love thinking about, that's what I was kind of thinking in depth of what made this movie really stand out and actually be better than Deathstalker and Sorceress. And I think that's why there was a lot more story to this one.
Yeah, I mean, Deathstalker had the cool tournament scene, but that didn't last for long.
No, it was more kind of like a trial. It'd be like if Game of Thrones had a trial by combat and ended it in under 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Along with a bunch of spastic, crazy
camera movements.
Let's run and slide under there. Can we get the DP to slide under him? Yeah. Can we get the cinematographer to like run past him and maybe do a little jump? That's kind of what it felt like.
Exactly.
Which, to say that cinematography in this was actually pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
The lighting was actually like that was another thing I kind of picked up on, was the lighting was pretty good for this. I mean, even in their wood scenes, because most of the time you see kind of these older 80s movies and they're not.
I don't remember them being in the woods at all in this movie.
Is that in the beginning?
No, they're in a desert the whole time.
Oh, that's right.
Legitimately the whole time.
But still, I mean, given the desert too, the fact when they're outside, it doesn't look so bright either. It's like they actually accounted for lighting a bit in this too.
Yeah. But so he ends up sneaking into Balkaz's place and kidnaps the lizard guy and brings him to Zeg for like money. 'Cause sure.
Which the lizard dude is weird.
Yeah, he's really weird.
It's
like he never does anything. He kind of just is, and then no.
I would say Jabba's little Zabrak monkey or whatever they called it.
That thing.
He had more of
a personality than this fucker.
Yeah.
Do you think that's where they got the inspiration, or was this later?
No, because Return of the Jedi came out in 1983. This is a year after.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you think this is where they, Return of the Jedi got their inspiration? No, they got their inspiration from Return of the Jedi.
Maybe.
For Jabba, because Balkaz is a very Jabba character. He had them bring him out, like, on a chair.
I feel like a lot of these later fantasy movies all the way up to the 90s were inspired by Star Wars and the way it presented itself.
Uh-huh.
Because Jabba was a fat slug. If you can get a fat-ass slug whose species literally sits around on nothing and can barely move for themselves and eat live creatures that will scream at you and just be like, oh, ho, 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 I put you in my belly.
Yeah.
I feel like, you can kind of make any character work and have the inspiration for them.
For real.
Which is something that I also like.
Mm-hmm.
The design for the lizard dude was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he was like wearing clothes too.
Yeah.
Which that could have either been like a budgetary restriction, like they couldn't afford to make the lizard body, or just aesthetic design.
I think either way it was better. I mean, it's nice. I mean, you don't see a bunch of naked people running around in Skyrim, even though they're different breeds.
Exactly.
They got more animalistic looks to them.
Exactly. But so they end up, they come out and like set a meeting in the morning with Balkaz, Zeg's people, and they bring out the lizard guy and they're like, either leave now or we'll kill him. And he brings out the girl, because at some point they kidnapped the sorceress. So then they do like just a quick swap trade. After
prolonging being like, you kill him, I'll kill her.
Exactly.
It's kind of like that Family Guy.
It really is.
If you kill him, I'll kill her. Well, you kill her, I kill him.
It's like a Mexican standoff. Yeah. Where everybody's just pointing at each other.
It's like, what do you expect to accomplish here? Just pull the damn trigger. You could have done it already.
It's big talk. That's all it is.
My gun's bigger than your gun. No, my gun's bigger than your gun.
Yeah.
Hodunks.
But so Kane ends up getting hired by Zeg because he needs a way back in there so he can get her out. And then they have like a dance party thing, and there's like Zeg's general guy who's a little jealous because he could definitely see him replacing him as second,
Yeah.
But there's like a dance party. That's when we get Noah's gonna tell us, because I don't want to say it.
That's when we get... If you guys are a fan of Total Recall, you might like this one, except for the fact that it looks so weird. That's when we get the 4-titty dance.
Yeah.
If you look up the poster of the Warrior and the Sorceress, not only will you see like a badass image of David that kind of makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You also, if you look closely, which I didn't realize because I'm not a pervert.
Yeah. You said that with so much confidence. I'm sure they all believed you.
Well, I wasn't really looking. I was just like,
Because I'm not a pervert.
I didn't expect until I like pulled up on my phone and was like, wait a minute, that does not look
I
right.
feel a disturbance.
Yeah.
You were
on there
looking
you
in that
can
region?
see the girl, apparently what looks like one metal bikini like Princess Leia is actually a two set.
Yep.
So she has a set of boobs under her main ones, which you can obviously tell are prosthetic, but from the right angle, almost look like they're real. It's very uncomforting.
Yeah. And she topless dances in this.
In which Kane does not take it. And when she got up close and personal, I cannot tell you how disgusting and disturbing and fake the boobs look.
Because she tries to kill him.
She tries to kill him and keeps trying to get closer and put her titties in his face. And that was like the most uncomfortable part. Which I swear David's reaction probably was genuine. Because even I was like, okay. He's obviously pushing you away. And I don't think it's just about the fact that you're trying to kill him. Because she's just trying to seduce him at that point. But he's obviously like, back up.
Yeah, back up.
I'm not interested. Go to someone else. Do anything but bother me. And I believe that's the exotic dancer played by Cecilia.
She's credited as
exotic dancer.
They couldn't say like quadruple boobed woman like.
No, and she's apparently in another movie called Tango and Cargo de Cincia.
All right, so she's just a dancer. She's probably not even an actress. She's probably just a dancer.
No, looks like she's born in Moran, Argentina, though. So she's 13.
All right.
But yeah, for that scene, it kind of basically dragged out way longer than it needed to be, and that was an understatement.
Yeah.
And then she basically tries to assassinate Kane, into which he just breaks her neck, if I remember right.
Yeah. Out of like a reflex almost.
Yeah, he just was like, oh, no.
Yeah, so then...
Game over.
He ends up sneaking away again, and he goes in to see... to make sure his girl's okay. The sorceress.
Nadja.
Yeah, Nadja.
Is officially credited as Nadja the Sorceress.
Yeah. But when he goes in there, there's like a guard outside, and he's like, you can't go in. He goes, I outrank you. Yeah, I can. So he like goes in, and he helps her get out, but there's like a serpent monster. It kind of reminded me of like the thing from in the first Star Wars when they're in the...
Trash compactor monster.
Yeah. Kind of reminded me of that.
Which, looking at that thing, if you look up an image, go do it right now, is kind of...
It's real gross.
Yeah, it's... yeah. We had a friend who's... my dad had an old work buddy whose husband worked on the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
That's cool. But so, like, he cuts off its limbs and ends up killing it and, like, sneaks her out. And then when he leaves the room, he's like, she's missing. And starts a panic, because sure. But then they're like, wait, did you see her before he went in there? No. And they're like, you idiot, he let her out. So it's a very panicky situation. And correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't he almost get killed?
I believe so.
Yeah, like he's fighting back, but then he kind of just retreats.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, screw this, not interested.
But he hides her with the old man's house, and he has, like, a thing that leads to the well. So he, like, purposefully pokes a hole in the well to drain all the water to just kind of cause more of a panic with everybody. So then Balkaz and Zeg, like, start fighting because they're like, you took all the water, we need it, no, you did. And they, like, start fighting each other. And then Kef comes back and he's going to kill everybody. And Zeg kills Balkaz right as they're making a treaty to kill him together. Which, yeah, it's a scummy move, but I respect it.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, they weren't very honorable in this movie. Or very respectful or smart, more like it. Mm-hmm. They're all kind of really stupid.
Exactly. But then Kef comes in and they start fighting and he ends up killing Zeg. So it's like, alright, well, two main bad guys are dead, so I guess Kef is our big bad, I guess. Right?
Yes. I want to say yes.
Because then he starts enslaving everybody else, including Zeg's second.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, at some point, I guess, the sorceress made the sword. And she gives it to Cain.
Yeah.
And then we get our climactic scene with him fighting Kef's forces, and, like, he's killing them very easily. And then, like, the people who are enslaved start revolting against Kef's men. And then he kills Kef, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But then Zeg's second comes back, and he actually gets the sword away from Cain. So it's like, oh, is it the sword, or is it he actually good? But he ends up killing him. Because he, like, proves that he's actually, like, good at fighting. Like, he's more skilled than his second.
He's bested him in combat.
Yeah, which I thought for a second, I told you this while we were watching, I thought for a second, like, Zeg's second was going to, like, help him, and they were all just going to kill Kef's men.
Yeah.
But, which I thought would have been better, personally.
It would have been if they would have united, but they didn't see it that way.
No, it was a schlong measuring contest. I freaking knew it.
Oh, you think you're better than me? Well, I'm better than you. Well,
Exactly.
I'm better than you. And if you know anything with any movie or just know anything in general, you know that typically doesn't work out.
Exactly. But he ends up freeing all the slaves, they get all the water, pieces restored to the town, and then he just kind of leaves, and it ends. And it gives that vibe of, like, oh, this is, like, an everyday occurrence for him. Like, he's had a bunch of adventures like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's going off to have another.
Which is like, hooray.
Hooray!
I feel like a lot of these movies were trying to set up for a sequel that just wasn't going to happen.
No, it just wasn't.
Like, they're like, oh, you know, it'd be cool if we did something like Tolkien and we can do it even though it's low budget, which is not dissing low budget movies.
Yeah.
But it's just like they tried so hard to be like, we can make a franchise, and it was like, but you really can't.
Exactly. Well, there's a lot of business ventures that start off with the phrase, you know what would be cool. And not all of them work.
No, and I think it's like if you watch Screen Rant's pitch meetings,
Mm-hmm.
it's like what started as a good idea, and then as soon as, like, you know, it's either vice versa.
Yeah.
Most of the time. 50% of the time it's vice versa. The other 50%, it is just they're both stupid and agree with each other. But usually the execs, a lot of times they'll be like, hey, wait a minute though. Yeah. But why is they doing that? Because this is how I want it to unfold. Mm-hmm. Okay, but we're kind of interested in letting you take this helm, and we're not sure that's gonna be the best choice. You maybe want to change that? Nope, exactly. It's my script. Okay.
There's a lot of decisions narratively that can be chalked up to, like, no, it's mine. Go away.
Yeah, it's like,
this is my toy. Only I get to play with it.
So we're going to have to supervise you.
Exactly.
So, like I said, it's kind of like a 50-50. Sometimes it's the creator, sometimes it's the company, and sometimes they just both are too stupid and agree with each other when they really shouldn't.
So a lot of times it's the latter one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say around 43 and 50 for time. Oh. So we're back about that. Sorry about that, guys. So,
a little technical difficulties, but all in all, I'd say, you know, it's a movie.
It's an 80s movie that, you know,
it's a little over an hour long. Like, it's...
Yeah, it's about an hour and 21 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's minus credits, but when it comes to these kind of credits, they're not very long. They're usually like 60 seconds to a minute and a half. Minute and a half. So, but I mean, overall, like I was saying throughout, I feel like it was very short.
It was. It wasn't just your illusion. It really was.
But and it's kind of sad because they had a lot going for it with their plot.
Yeah.
I liked what they were doing with it. I liked what we got. Mm-hmm. But I felt like, you know, it really was one of these movies where they took away the boobs for the script, and they really didn't know what to do with that.
Exactly. And that says something about the whole film industry as a whole in that era. You know what I mean?
It really shows that they had some sort of other sexual appeal for this, and that they had a big hole, and that they were going to try and fill it with boobs. Because, I mean, and I'm surprised they got as far as they did. And that's not bashing this movie. It's just, I feel like, why wouldn't you expand on something that you did so well, which is very, very rare for the indie films back then.
Exactly.
Because you had to be somebody at least of a name, or, you know. And I mean, I don't know what company they went through. I kind of saw it earlier, but I was kind of looking at that and was like, what company did what?
Exactly.
Because, I mean, it doesn't look... I don't think this one was by Roger Corman at all. I don't think he had a hand in this.
No.
And usually it's because you hear Piranha's music in every single one of his films that comes up. So you always hear... like
that
the
soundtrack.
Do 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 every single time, which is the first opening music, I think, of Piranha, when the girl and the guy both get pulled under because they...
Yep.
Okay. That's something, like, I wonder if it's just an 80s trend or, like, a 70s trend, like, because that was one thing to note, too. If you've seen the movie Piranha, I feel like that was, like, the age of stupid characters.
I can see that.
Like, I just feel like any other memory that I have of kind of like those 70s movies, like even the slasher ones, people weren't as stupid.
Yeah.
It really came to some of these lower budget ones, like as soon as Roger Corman stepped in with some of these like other lower ones, it was like whoever was writing the scripts for them.
Yeah.
Got stupid. Like, who runs up to an abandoned military base and then sees that, oh, they got a pool, let's go skinny dipping in it? Like, did you think maybe... Gee, I don't know, there's chemicals in there?
Exactly. Well, it's like, Piranha was one of those examples of movies where it's like, I feel like they took an animal, and then the idea of...
Was replicate Jaws,
write a horror movie based on that, and then just it happened. Like, they reverse engineered a script almost. Like, that's how it was with that. That's how it was with Night of the Lepus, Frogs.
Well,
like,
if you look at them too...
Bees.
Pre-Jaws, killer animal movies were cliche. I mean, except for the Attack of the Killer Shrews.
There's a part of me that feels like, aside from Jaws, it's
Jaws?
almost always cliche.
Like, Jaws set the boundary, and everybody wanted to piggyback off of it.
All animals. All of them.
I have literally, like, everyone known to man. There's almost every single movie I have. There's an ape. There's a gorilla. There's a chimpanzee. There are black sheep. There's one about sheep called Black Sheep.
Yeah, I've seen. I know.
There's dogs, snakes of all kinds, anacondas, vipers, garden snakes, sharknado. I mean, like,
Frogs doesn't even have a frog killing people. It's just like nature.
Yeah, which was very disappointing when I got that and realized that.
Yeah,
I was really pissed off. But I feel like it almost feels like these movies, kind of like the Warrior and the Sorceress, found a way to piggyback off of each other. Like, it almost feels like they were being competitive towards one another, you know? And like you said with the script of Piranha being reverse engineered, I really felt like this is what Warrior and the Sorceress was.
exactly.
And I mean, it was so sad. And I mean, the thing that really appealed to me most, though, was it didn't have anything to do with two families. It was solely two empires.
Yeah.
But it did it like a family.
Exactly.
Which is rare, because usually even something like if you see it in Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings is a more, I think, driven spectacle of kind of that army meets army, but we never get them face to face. There's never a true face to face. There's always somebody on the high ground and somebody on the lower ground that comes up that yells to each other. Usually the only time you really get like a sit down is during a mob movie or something involving two families which I guess is what a mob movie is.
Yeah, exactly.
But
They're crime families, but families nonetheless.
But I mean, like, you know, if you watch a Western, there's always some sort of, we get our soldiers, we get our plantation crew, you know, somebody together to go face to face with each other. And they actually have, like, the balls to be like, oh, you may shoot me in the face, but at least we were honorable enough to face each other.
Exactly. At least you shot me in the face and not the back, you know?
Yeah. So it makes me wonder, really, like, what happened with this script and how they expand upon it. I don't really think there's any other 80s movies that, I don't know what you've watched kind of in your free time too, besides the ones that we've reviewed so far, but I think I haven't really found any other 80s movies or even fantasy movies like that. A lot of the fantasy movies, like even like The Hobbit and stuff like that. I think the closest that we've ever gotten, even more so than Return of the King or anything, or The Two Towers, was Battle of the Five Armies.
Yeah.
Which was the closest that we ever got to really having two
factions, like sit down and talk.
Sit down, yeah, with an army. Or walk up and face each other.
Mm-hmm. Like a meeting.
Yeah, like actually knowing that they're probably going to go to war and having it ready, but actually looking at each other on the same ground.
A diplomatic.
Yeah, diplomatic approach. Which, as Padme and Anakin call it, aggressive negotiations.
Exactly.
Which is an understatement. But yeah, I feel like this is really, you know, despite its flaws that it has, it's...
Unlike the finale movie for this month, these people tried.
They did try. And it looks like it was made by... It was directed by John Broderick, and he did the screenplay. So I wonder what happened there. But, I mean, here's the estimated part, and here's what's really hard, because it came out in 1984, but it did have a budget of $600,000 to $4 million.
Really?
Estimated.
I find that, like, modern day dollars, like, that's what it would have rounded up to?
No, that's just what they said the budget was.
Wow.
But I don't know why you would have so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know a budget doesn't make a movie, but it doesn't hinder it. You know what I mean?
It looks like there's no pictures of him. But it looks like he was born in 1942 and died in 2001.
Oh, bummer.
But he still died in California. Born in San Francisco, died in Santa Monica.
I mean, he was a creative person, so clearly. So it's a bummer he's no longer with us for that reason. But.
And no, he did it. And apparently he did a movie with Robert De Niro.
Really?
The Sam Nicoletti movies. Samsung, The Swap.
Good for him. Because De Niro's one of those guys you kind of want to work with at some point, I'm sure. And the first one looks like it didn't get good critic reviews, but it got a second one. The first one was in 1969. The last one was in 1979. So I think I know those movies somehow. Yeah. But it got 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.4 on IMDb, or no, not even from critics. I'm sorry, 10% from the audience. Ooh, that's even like. Even with Robert De Niro, that's kind of hard. That's very hard with Robert. You mean with Robert? Like, he's a good actor. Oh yeah, definitely. Apparently, he did another one called Dirty O'Neill, and it looks like there was The Love Life of a Cop, and then there's a sequel called Bad Georgia Road. Okay. But it looks like he had some promising... And it looks like he did the screenplay with people for these. So, I mean, he had a promising... I like his storytelling. I just feel like it wasn't executed to its full potential. I mean, he got his stuff in theaters. That's more than most people can say in their lives. Or at least to direct video or on a TV movie channel. Exactly. So, I mean, that's great. I just wonder what kind of happened. Mm-hmm. I always wonder that with these older directors and older movies. Because they kind of get forgotten, and that's the really sad part. Especially because they get like these big names or people who become big names attached to it. Yeah, the people who kind of overshadow. Which you'd think that they would get more recognition. I mean, when you hear Robert De Niro, you can think of so many things. Unfortunately, it's always mob movies. Yeah. And I say that with the most utter respect. Yeah, not to diss mob movies. We are, but we don't want it to sound like we're dissing them. Yeah.
I don't want to say that mom movies are bad and that they're bland.
Continue.
Because I'm... Well, no, I'm trying to think of how I say it.
Yeah, because we
With
don't
that
want to
being
insult
said,
anyone.
I am a fan of mom movies.
Yeah.
Know? I may not think The Godfather is the best
It's
mom
just...
movie like everybody else, but it's kind of the same thing.
I don't feel like I would be incorrect in saying they're not for everybody.
No,
they are an acquired taste.
Same with fantasy movies, I think, of any sort. I think even, like, looking at some of these older ones, because, I mean, as enjoyable as they are, you can definitely see just by looking at Narnia, Middle Earth, Warcraft, I think, even.
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean. All these movies are, like, what started off, like, and I think Pirates of the Caribbean is a perfect example of a movie that was like The Warrior and The Sorceress. It had a budget because it was backed by Disney. But a lot of these movies, it looks like they just kind of had the inspiration for a fantasy movie and were like, let's try and do it.
Yeah, and I like that gusto of it, of like, let's give it a shot, you know, because we have that same kind of mentality with all of our projects.
Yeah, and that's, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean, that's how it started. It just started off as a Disney ride.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you can't say they didn't frickin' try. We can see that they tried.
And I think that's what makes these small movies so enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really wacky. So you can always
fun.
pull something off of it. But I can't help thinking, too, that you have to look back at some of these and have inspiration when you're making a modern fantasy movie.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, like I said, like this one, and I think even Deathstalker to some point.
Mm-hmm.
These two, I think, were my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the story was
of this month
there,
for sure.
or the action was there. Yeah, this month. I feel like the action was there in Deathstalker, and the story was there in The Warrior and the Sorceress.
Yeah, it's just...
But they did not reach their peak.
It's just, you know you're gonna get downed in a score from me for, like, you know, the explicit nudity. Especially Deathstalker. No. Deathstalker straight up, like...
It screamed R like Porky because it could.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, but it wasn't, I think unlike Porky's, there wasn't a valid reason why it was there.
Exactly.
It was just kind of there to be there and in your face.
Yeah.
Which is a problem. But this is definitely one of the better films that I think we've done.
This month, for sure.
This month. I mean,
yeah,
it's
preface with this month.
Yeah.
We've reviewed Oscar-nominated films.
Well, I'd say that this is one of the better films that we reviewed out of the kind of indie finds.
Oh, yeah. Indie finds, for sure. Well, I wouldn't categorize anything we reviewed last month as indie finds. This month,
I mean,
though,
just out of the ones that we have done. Or two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I enjoyed Reanimator. I feel like that's super indie.
Was it? I feel like it was more...
It wasn't really budgeted or backed. I didn't recognize anybody in it.
No, that's true.
Well, it did have boobs. I will say the boobs made sense.
They did make sense. And I mean, I kind of want to give it to this poster a little bit.
Oh, yeah, the poster, if I saw that on the street, that would have drawn me in immediately.
Yeah, I mean, the photos from the four weird boobs that look, you know, better on the poster than they do in the actual movie.
Exactly.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, you have to look it up. Mm-hmm. That is one thing I also want to give to this movie. Besides the set design, which was amazing.
Yeah.
It watching this movie, just in their little courtyards, felt like they were actually in a medieval location. So I definitely have to give them that too.
Oh yeah, I believed it was a fantasy world.
Definitely. This poster, unlike Sorceress,
yeah,
it delivered.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it's got like this dragon viper snake with horns and it's shining and it's awesome. And then you got David's character Kane. You got him holding this silver star, but he's wearing like this.
Did it have the viper snake in the movie?
No.
Yeah, that's the issue I have. Like,
yeah, that was false advertising. I did not like that. Which I think you can get in trouble for now.
Now you can. Oh yeah. Well, back in the 80s, rules were like the Wild West. It was like freaking. Have you?
Well, we already know why it was the Wild West. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, have you seen? Have you seen? There's this documentary about Turkish cinema, which I gotta show you because that would fascinate you. Have you seen that?
Yeah, the copyright laws and how they were basically just a suggestion for copyright.
You can basically do anything. So in Turkey, the same movie will come out 5 different times, just with different people in it, and it's like, what? That can frickin' happen?
The Godfather, this time with a little twist.
Yeah.
The Godfather, but this time with 2 bigger twists.
With different actors.
The Godfather.
No, they don't change the script at all. They just recast it and shoot at different locations, but locations that look similar enough, sometimes same locations. It's just the same movie gets re-released 5 times.
Kind of makes you think maybe people in America should stop complaining about reboots.
Oh, here we go.
No, that being said,
Yeah, that being said, probably dip out of here before he gets on his rant again. No.
Well, and one last thing to note about this poster, besides the awesome swords, thank God Kane did not wear that metal Speedo chest thing. That would have been scarring.
Here's the thing about taking him seriously. If he did that, I couldn't.
I don't think I could take Bill seriously after that.
No.
I'd be just picturing him in that metal thing, kind of like...
And I don't want to picture him wearing...
Kind of like Jack Black doing that dance in a Speedo.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's very scary, also intriguing that he can do dances like that.
And while being a guy who has been compared throughout his life to Jack Black, don't imagine me in a Speedo, it will make you very sad. Yeah. Are you imagining me in a Speedo now?
No, just you said it'll make you very sad.
Yeah.
And just thinking of Jack Black doing a windmill.
For the people who haven't seen what I look like physically, I won't deny the idea that, like, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the idea of me wearing less clothing makes you very sad. I'm wearing a sweatsuit right now for that exact reason. Like, it's not great under here. It's kind of like looking at the inside of a car.
Oh, good God.
You know? Like, the outside looks beautiful. The framework, it's great. But once you open that hood, oh, no! Someone killed something in here.
Dear God.
Yeah. I'm not saying I look good with my clothes on. I'm merely suggesting it. What were we talking about?
I don't even know. But with that has been the world.
Oh, that's where we're going to end it? Sure. Sure.
That has been the Warrior and the Sorceress. It was a short movie, so we tried to stretch it out a little bit. But hopefully you enjoyed our little
We wanted
rants.
to give you guys an hour's worth.
Yeah, I mean, it is called Film Nerds Hour. So, I mean, we can't just kind of...
But if that means we're exactly a second over an hour, then that's what we're doing, suckers.
Yeah, you have to live with it. That's the worst part.
Just spell our names right on the checks. We'll take your money and run. We've already got it. What can you do?
Bunch of rich nerds. Is there anything more desirable in life
than being a rich nerd? No, I don't think so. Being a nerd, I wouldn't mind being rich. Well, I want to be happy. But let's not get existential. We'll be here for another hour. That being said, he's Noah Sweeto.
And he's Nathaniel Shoemaker.
This has been Film Nerds Hour.
So long, everyone.
What was that word again? So long, everyone.
Are you implying I'm drunk?
Slur. I'm not implying it. I'm suggesting it.
Why you...